Today I have a little show and tell on a new project that I'm starting. That is one of the most ambitious things in terms of hardware that I've done. I'm a little scared. The project is to remake, rebuild an Atari 130 XE, which is one of my favorite computers of all time. One that I've spent a lot of time on when I was a kid, building video games. I love that machine very much, and I still have it. Let me switch over to the overhead camera. So this is the original machine. I've already done some work on it. I've retrobrighted the keyboard. I've also done the same on the case. I've attempted to fix a few things on the main PCB and try to see what was wrong with it, where it wouldn't actually even start. But I'm going to do something different. And there is already something, if you know that machine, that should strike you here. This is not the standard membrane keyboard. Let me bring. So normally those computers work with this kind of membrane with little plungers that establish contact here between the pads on this sheet of plastic. This is not super reliable. It fails often, and also it makes for keyboards that are not necessarily the best feel. So what I've done is that I've started a new project to replace that keyboard with new keys that are based on what you see here is the switches I started from. They are Kyle box pinks that are very nice switches that I like a lot. Clicky switches. But the problem is, if you look at the keycaps for an Atari and the box switches, that won't fit. There is no way that's going to fit. So what do we do? Well, 3D printing to the rescue. What if you could change the plunger for the switches and replace them with 3D printed parts? But wait a minute, you're going to tell me 3D printing is not nearly precise enough. Well, that was true for, you know, the consumer machines until resin printers came out. And resin printers have a resolution of 50 microns, if I remember correctly, which is 1/20th of a millimeter. And that is actually enough to make small parts that are very precise. And here is the proof. I have here a Kyle box pink with the plunger replaced with something that is actually compatible with the Atari keys. And I've already done that for the whole keyboard. And I have a nice mechanical keyboard on my 130 XE, which is nice. This is the prototype version. I'm actually redoing this. I'm adding a steel plate to make it a really nice mechanical keyboard that I'm going to receive within the next few weeks. All right, so a few things about this machine. It's been kind of butchered in the back. I made some mods back in the time that were not very clean. We'll see what we can do about that. But the real topic of today's video is the motherboard. So this motherboard is old, and there are a few things that we would do differently today. The build is not great. Those PCBs are not fantastic. They were kind of cheap at the time because those machines were meant to be produced for a very low cost. And And there are a few things that fail quite often, such as the memory. You can see the 128 kilobytes of memory here. Today we can put way more memory on a single chip, of course. So that's one thing we could do. That sort of thing. Oh, you can also notice that I replaced I made a video about that. I replaced the connector for the keyboard. I'm actually going to replace that with an angled one eventually. I have one here we can show. Yeah, I'm going to use one of those here. Because this way I can direct the connector to the back. Here I had some problems with the height of the whole thing. So yeah, I'm also moving the connector here on the board to the top here, so the connection is going to be one nice ribbon like that. Let's put the keyboard aside for a second. So we are going to basically get rid of that PCB. We are going to salvage it for parts, because this is actually our donor computer. It has a number of specialized chips from Atari. Freddy's here. You've got the Antique, the GTIA, etc. So there are specialized chips that you can't find off the shelf. You need to salvage them from somewhere. Although I've heard there are attempts to recreate those with FPGAs. So we're going to salvage some parts from this, and we're going to replace the whole board with a brand new board that I have here. And this board has been rebuilt completely from the schematics and using a few other things by an Atari Age user by the name of Panos. And we are going to put that board in place of the old one, except that we are going to have to solder all that stuff. So a few things about this board. First, the memory is now not taking that whole area here, so that freed some space to do some interesting things, such as we have, well, a very interesting thing, I think, is that we have headers all over the place to kind of spy on the functioning of the computer. So we're going to be able to probe the motherboard to see what's going on. There are some additional connectors. So here we have a DVI space for a DVI connector, which is very interesting. We're going to have modern video output on this computer in addition to the stock video. There is space for memory expansions. There is space, yeah, so the DVI is made possible with a pretty common extension that's called Sophia. And yeah, there is a lot that we can do that the original motherboard can't do. There is space for a battery here to save some state. So we have the joystick connectors here, the serial port here. We have the cartridge ports. This is, what is this? Which one is this? Yeah, that's the video. That's power. The power switch will go here. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I bought this board. I had this sent to me, and I also have, in addition to that, to navigate around the microphone without producing too much noise. Oh, that's an epic failure. Also have a big box of components here, and those components are easy to find. We've got resistors, we've got logic gates, we've got lots of stuff. So we'll have to assemble all that, and that will be the subject of future videos. Yeah, so that's the project. Rebuilding this computer, making it something that can connect to modern video displays, and that will be able to hack on and run old games in their natural environment. So I'm very excited about this project. It's only barely starting. I've got most of the parts, not all of them, but most of them. And yeah, that will be very interesting. That is it for this video.